Hello and welcome to the Gonzales Mitchell Show. I'm Clay Mitchell. Patrick is off doing Patrick things today. Notwithstanding, we have a great guest on today's episode. It is Karson Kamenetz. And Karson, you have to forgive me if I call you Kevin several times during the show. It's just habit. Karson is a 24-year-old as of August 30th.
Very recently. I'm a Virgo, August
There,
30th.
there you go. 24-year-old Democrat living in Baltimore County, and I hear you may be running for office.
Yes, sir. Clayton, thanks for having me. I'm running for Baltimore County Council right now, and it's a little bit in flux in terms of where the district may end up aligning, but we're in this race because the county's at a crossroads, and I'm excited to talk about it with you.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about the redistricting. I understand in Baltimore County there's maps being drawn and with crayon boxes are out and everybody's coloring all the districts in. What's going on up there?
Yeah, somebody told me, I'll shout him out, Mel Mintz. He said the worst of a politician is exposed during redistricting. Mel Mintz was a Baltimore County councilman uh, in the 90s, actually. And I think that's true, and we're seeing it right now. Redistricting is really the one moment when politicians quite literally get to pick their voters instead of the voters picking their politicians. And that temptation expresses a lot to me, to be honest. Do you prioritize fairness and representation, or do you try to protect your own power? I think we're seeing efforts in both ends. I don't think it's really one sided, but all I know is that it's been over a year and we're still enduring into this process of council expansion and redistricting. And to me, redistricting is really about trust. If we start slicing up communities for political gain, how could anyone really believe us when we're telling them, hey, we're going to put you as people first? I think it's a little contradictory. The commission that was appointed by the county council gave us a pretty thoughtful community-based map with a lot of public input. But the council has changed it. And actually, as we're recording this tonight, they're revealing a second amended version of that commission map. So we'll see what happens. I think really the worst of politics is when leaders try to game the system like that. But the best is when somebody puts fairness in front of self-interest. I hope to see that in that map tonight.
It looks like redistricting has become a cancer that's metastasized throughout the country, starting in Texas. I think it's coming here, Massachusetts, and the like. And it is unfortunate, but gerrymandering's gone on since the beginning of the nation. And I agree with you. It's unfortunate. I always thought with tools available to us like AI now, you can, whatever you input into the AI system, but can come up with some sort of a more fair map. But like you said, when politics gets into it, it turns real ugly real fast. The district that you have are running in is Izzy Patoka's district now that he's put his hat in the ring for county executive. Is that right?
Yep. Izzy actually just announced his candidacy publicly yesterday. And I live in his district now. I live in the heart of Pikesville. Excuse me. And we're looking for a map that frankly keeps the communities together while ensuring that, race doesn't become a barrier to entry. I think that's really when redistricting gets ugly. Partisan redistricting is legal according to our Supreme Court. You're allowed to redistrict however you please along party lines. But the
Right.
second you cross into cracking and packing racially, that's when the Voting Rights Act gets triggered and scrutiny happens. So we'll see what happens. There's been a lot of threats, a lot of conversation, threats of lawsuits, I might add. But again, the commission did a great job.
Where you plan to?
Yep. So I'm a student at Maryland Carey right now, and I think it's great. I feel like I'm really fortunate to be able to pursue two things I'm so passionate about at the same
Yeah.
time: law school and running this campaign for public office. And to be honest with you, I think law school is a training ground. It teaches you how to think critically, read the fine print and argue both sides. And that
Right.
is a really important skill when you're talking about local government. And unlike anybody else, I don't have another full-time job. I don't have children, so I could really devote all my time to this
Right.
campaign and this council.
Right. I remember what before I went into law school and after I graduated from law school, your brain just takes this transformation where you think like a lawyer, uh, which sometimes is unfortunate because you can't be a normal human being sometimes.
I agree with you. You know,
Yeah.
it's hard to turn off, but I think it's a good thing. Right now, there's no lawyers on the Baltimore County Council, so
Right. Right. And I've read some things where your age, 24 years old, and quote unquote inexperience comes into play. But I saw a quote that you had given on WYPR where you said you'll bring a fresh perspective to local politics, and that if experience alone solved things, there wouldn't be potholes older than you are. I think that's a great perspective to say. Uh,
yeah, I think it's excuse me. I think it's absolutely a valid point because I'm young, but I'm not new. I was elected to the Central Committee and served there as parliamentarian. I worked in Annapolis for the Baltimore County House Delegation Chair, really showing me how education policy in this state works. So, I'm 24, but I have some experience that pushes me above that. And to be honest with you, I don't have the decades old bad habits to unlearn as well. And I think that's also something positive. But, it's something I don't shy away from because leadership isn't measured in birthdays. It should be measured in showing up and getting things done. And, I chose public service as my calling early. Again, I'm in law school. And I've spent every single day this campaign meeting with residents, knocking on doors, listening to concerns, taking people to lunch. And I'm young, but I don't claim to have all the answers, believe it or not. But I do claim that I'm going to work harder and listen more than anyone else. And so judge me on that work effort, not on how many birthdays I've had.
and it goes to say, obviously, from your family background, my family background, I would say I've been in politics for 62 years, my whole life. I've been around it literally my whole life. But my dad was on the Central Committee when the year I was born. And like your father did public service, was the county executive, he was on the county council. And to be honest with you, you've been in politics for 24 years, and don't let anybody take that away from you. You already have a background and knowledge that a lot of people, if they were 40 years old, decided to run, don't have. Um,
I think what you're saying is really underrated, and you and I know it because we're in that position. But
right.
we've seen how politics works up close. I joke all the time. My father, anybody who knew him, would testify that he was fairly frugal. He was a pretty cheap guy, and I remember every year I'd beg for a couple bucks for the school book fair, and he wouldn't give it to me. Instead, he'd throw down on my desk Master Plan 2010 and said, "Here you go. This is your book." So every night you really get that masterclass lesson at the kitchen dinner table
Yeah.
about this is from Kevin. This is what is wrong, and my way is the best, and we're going to fix it this way. But
Right.
it was really trial by fire in a lot of ways, and that's really why I'm running, not to repeat the old ways, but to bring accountability and fresh problem solving. That's my entire brand.
And that's an education nobody else gets. I mean, when your father talks to you firsthand about things that go on, uh, problems other people don't see, and you get to talk to him about it. And I think you have a lot of experience hearing about all that, and you will know the potholes, so to speak, that on the road in front of you before anybody else normally would, because you've been exposed to all of that.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think it's also great because I know a lot of folks in county government, and I'm going to hire experience, and I will learn quickly because of that. And it's good to be able to say, hey, we've had that microscope on the back of our head our lives before. We know how this political system works, how the sacrifices go, and what's required. So I think it is an advantage.
yeah, I think you're absolutely right. When getting back to your platform, so to speak, Baltimore County has an affordable housing problem. There's an aging population there that needs to be taken care of. Tell me what your platform is, and propose solutions for some of those types of problems.
Yeah, I think, again, Baltimore County is at a crossroads right now. 1 in 4 people in this county are 60 and older. And at the same time, over half of our county budget goes to our BCPS education system. And that's a good thing. I think we should be investing in our youth. But the problem is when we invest so much in our kids and they graduate, they leave the county. They don't return on that investment. And the question is why? I think families are squeezed by the cost of living. Too many of our young people end up leaving after that investment, and neighborhoods don't always feel as safe as they should. So we can't afford to keep doing the same old thing that we have been. And we need a fresh, practical perspective on the council to really focus on problem solving, not partisanship, not running for higher office. And, here's what I mean on affordability, right? Baltimore
Right.
County has not added enough houses for regular working families and young people. When you look around this county, you see a lot of 55 plus communities coming up, and that's great because it helps our seniors age in places close to them that are hopefully affordable. But if we want our kids to stay, we really have to focus on expanding housing options in smarter ways, like protecting our green spaces and developing infill. Really saying, hey, this is a destination that we're building up where it is attractive for young families, where you can work nearby, where there's transit available for you as well. And it keeps our tax base strong because we have people spending tax dollars right in the county instead of leaving the county to work as well. And it ultimately prevents us from having to raise taxes. So I think we really have to get serious about affordability, but also about services and public safety. I believe in strong, fair law enforcement. You won't find a council member tougher on crime than I'll be, but to be tough on crime, you have to be even tougher on what causes it. We need to support our officers and fund their budget, absolutely, but we also have to make sure that they're equipped to deal with the challenges of today because they're not the challenges of yesterday. And whether that's violent crime or opioid overdoses, tough on crime to me doesn't just mean arresting everybody, because if it was, we wouldn't be having that conversation, in my opinion. It means being smart on crime and tackling the root causes simultaneously. We can't afford one or the other. So I happy to keep talking. I got a lot of issues, and the county I think is really just knocking doors. People are excited to hear about them. People learn things.
One of the problems why housing gets unaffordable is the regulations. Man, there's regulations everywhere. You have to get so many permits, and it could take a year before you even hire a contractor to get out there and start moving earth and hammering on nails. What do you, as far as regulation goes for housing affordability, do you think it's realistic that this next council and county executive can attack streamlining some of these systems to make it more affordable?
Yeah, I don't think we have a choice, frankly. I one of the biggest frustrations, and it's not even remotely close, from residents, from business owners, from developers, every stakeholder on every side of the fence here, is that getting a permit approved is not only timely, but you're left in the dark. Whether you're a family trying to add a deck to your house or a small business building an awning, it's slow, confusing, and expensive. And
Yeah,
those three things are the opposite of what a business or a county saying we want businesses to come in, we want homeowners to be able to do what they want, should be doing. Government shouldn't be standing in the way. So fixing this, like you said, it's not about lowering standards, it's about streamlining the process. We need clear timelines, actual transparency. My office will form immediately a dashboard so you can see, hey, I sent my councilman an email about this issue. Where is it in the backroom processes? You're going to see that because you deserve it as a constituent and a resident, and we need to hold our office and services accountable as well. If you apply for a permit, you shouldn't be left in the dark for months. You should know where your permit stands, who's reviewing it, and when you can get an answer. I think it's simple. Every delay in permitting is a hidden tax on our residents, and
exactly.
it costs not just money, but time and opportunity. So if we want to get
This
serious about growing a tax base that was in decline this past year, we have to immediately and efficiently fix this permitting system.
this is where I think a fresh perspective comes in. Uh, my baby boom generation, we had our ways. We use paper files and the whole 9 yards, but a fresh perspective to look at systems and regulations and processes with artificial intelligence and the computerized world now is something that's best left to those who know it best, and that is the young. I barely know how to use what I need to use on the computer. I know it can do a lot more, and I know that artificial intelligence can be used in government and in business in order to streamline some things. And we need fresh perspectives like yours to come in because you were born in the digital world. I'm a digital migrant. This is all. I'm a 1900s guy, man. Uh, and
Well, I got to tell you, this streaming software confused me. Okay, so technology's getting a little crazy. I actually in high school and the beginning of college, I was a computer science guy. I
yeah,
competed in red team, blue team, Cisco web development and hacking competitions, and I love that stuff.
wow,
So I
wow.
think that is probably you know that's what I do when I go home every day, and it's cool to see that government, which is usually archaic and behind the standard, has an opportunity here to get ahead of it for once.
Now, talk to me about energy. I know that
Yeah.
there's this uh, huge wired project to go down between Pennsylvania and Virginia for Virginia data centers. We have a lack of electrical supply that's domestically produced here in Maryland. We're importing 40% of our electricity from Pennsylvania. What, from your perspective, what can Baltimore County do to help with that issue?
Yeah, energy is tough because uh, the conversation about climate and where we see global warming impacting us over the next 100 or so years is pretty divisive. But I don't think this is really a question about being for or against energy infrastructure. It's about how we deliver it responsibly. I feel like uh, people here understand we have a critical need to upgrade our energy grid, and I think Piedmont is just one proposal to meet that demand. To be honest with you, but it at the same time it sparked real concern. Residents are afraid of losing farmland, feeling boxed in, um, and the main issue to me is that they don't feel like they have meaningful input on the process. If you are acting without listening, you're really not doing your job, in my opinion. So we need transparency. We need public engagement that is robust, not just 7 p.m. on a Tuesday where you're lucky if you can attend. And you need full consideration of property rights. I'm a law student. I have pretty strong opinions about eminent domain and when or when not it should be allowed. And following those lines, that's really how you build trust, not just lines.
Right. Is there any other main issue that you have that you're running on that we haven't discussed? Because I did this, I did the internet's search on you, and I found those issues. What other issues are you concerned about?
Yeah, I would love to really talk about union and labor. I've met with unions because they represent thousands of working people in Baltimore County, and it's teachers, police officers, firefighters, and laborers. People that are the life and blood of what it means to have a functioning community, a functioning society. And often I hear concern about that because we are, again, a tax base that last year, until last year, was declining. And then last year it only increased barely. And we have to do something about that. We have an increasing need for services. And at the same time, we have a lot of council members that are unwilling to build projects that are even, within our master plan, within our development vision. And I think those two things go hand in hand. Unions can work alongside, public projects to build more infrastructure to be able to build more, tax revenue creating projects. So I think it's really important that we bring everybody to the table when we talk about development because people are starting to recognize, hey, we are losing our tax base. That's going to cause one of two things. We're either going to accept that we're a county managing decline or we're going to raise taxes. And I think we don't have to do either. We have to grow and we have to build in a way that is sustainable that maintains the county's identity, but also includes labor in that conversation, because that's also a big lifeblood of this county as well.
Well, Karson, I hope I didn't call you Kevin too many times during this show. This show, if I did, it's my bad. It's my bad. But I do wish you luck. I want to have you back on the show again to talk about how your campaign is progressing. If there's any issues that are coming up that you'd like to discuss, just give me a call and we'll get you on and we'll discuss it. But I can see, Karson, by that little clock on the wall, that it's time for us to say goodbye, Patrick.
Goodbye, Patrick.
Goodbye, Patrick, wherever you are. Karson,
Wherever you are.
It was a pleasure having you, and we'll be sure to get you back on the show again soon. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you very much. Great seeing you.